Manchester United fans, I think we need to have a serious conversation about this transfer window, because I'm not even going to say that United need to spend 200 million or 300 million. That's not the point. The question is much bigger. Are Man United actually building a squad capable of winning trophies again? Because when you look at the squad, there are still some obvious holes. Let's start with the midfield. Casemiro is gone, so United have lost one of the most experienced midfielders we had. And that's important because we're not replacing him with another experienced defensive midfielder who's already proven himself at the highest levels. I know we've brought in Euro Tillemans, who obviously has Premier League experience and quality and has won trophies, but not at the same level as Casemiro. And then you've got Andre Santos, who was a Chelsea bench player, but still relatively inexperienced at this level. And Ugarte, how many matches did he start last season? Exactly. And also, he is unavailable due to injury from the World Cup. So suddenly, you're looking at a midfield that has a serious question mark over its experience, depth, and ability to control games. And that is a problem. Because if Manchester United want to compete with Arsenal, Liverpool, Manchester City, and Chelsea, you can't afford to have a midfield that you're hoping will simply figure things out during the season. And then we have the left back. That's another position we have needed to address properly for a long time. Whilst Luke Shaw has availability, but we still haven't had that long-term reliable solution at left back. And we also have the attack. We need goals, a lot of goals, to compete and become title winning. You can't expect Bruno Fernandes to create everything, score everything, and carry the attacking responsibility every single week. You need another consistent goal threat. A proper second striker or forward who can give you another option when games aren't going your way. So when you put all this together, midfield, left back, the attacking depth, you start asking yourself, why hasn't there been more urgency in the Manchester United board? And this is where I think there are two completely different arguments. Tell me which one you fall under. One argument is that United are finally being smart. We've seen what happens when this club panic buys. Huge transfer fees, huge wages, players who don't fit the system, and then a few years later we're desperately trying to get rid of them. So maybe this is the club saying, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to recruit carefully, protect the finances, and only sign players who actually fit the manager's plans. And honestly, I can get behind that. But there's another side to this. Manchester United can't become so financially cautious that we forget what the purpose of the football club actually is. And that is to win football matches, to win trophies, to compete at the top level. Because look at the competition. Arsenal have built a squad capable of challenging every season, and they've recently won a trophy due to the squad depth and the investment. Liverpool have already shown they can rebuild and get back to the top. Manchester City remains one of the biggest forces in English football. Chelsea continue to invest heavily in their squad, and they're not shy of spending money. And even Tottenham have managed to end their long trophy drought by winning the Europa League, and they're being extremely ambitious this year with huge signings such as Matheus Fernandes and Sandro Tonali from Newcastle. Meanwhile, our last Premier League title came all the way back in 2013. Yes, we won the FA Cup in 2024, but that's exactly why the situation is so frustrating. For a club of Manchester United size, one domestic cup every few seasons cannot be the definition of our success. The real question should be, when are we going to start competing for the Premier League again? Because winning fourth shouldn't be the dream. Getting back into the Champions League shouldn't be the end goal. Those should be the foundations, and this is where the transfer strategy matters. I'm not asking United to spend money just because Arsenal or Chelsea are spending money. I'm asking, does the squad have enough quality to compete? Because if we still have obvious weaknesses in midfield, in left back, and attacking depth, then we're taking a massive gamble this season. And maybe it works. Maybe Santos develops quickly. Maybe Tillemans develops quickly also, and gives us exactly what we need. Maybe the existing players stay fit. Maybe the manager just gets everything clicking. But that is a lot of maybes for a club like us. And that's my biggest concern. I don't want us to go back to the old days of throwing money at every problem. But I also don't want financial discipline to become an excuse for a lack of ambition. There has to be a middle ground somewhere. Recruit intelligently, develop young players, get rid of players who don't fit. But when you identify a position that generally need strengthening, go and fix it. Because Man United shouldn't just be trying to become financially sustainable. We should try to become competitive again. And that's a debate I want to hear from you guys. Do you think this transfer strategy is actually smart and we're finally seeing a long-term plan? Or do you think we are being too cautious for a club that desperately needs to get back to the top? Because after more than a decade of rebuilding, at some point we need to actually start winning.